Hi, everybody, and welcome to 5 Minutes with. I'm John Younger with Assisted Living Locators, and today I'm really happy to have Jack Wang of Longhorn Financial on the phone, on the video with us. 5 Minutes with Jack Wang. Welcome, Jack.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. Thanks for having me on, John. I really appreciate it. We're both a little stuttering this morning or something.
Yeah, it's one of those. No, didn't have enough coffee this morning, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. Hey, thanks for coming on. I appreciate that, Jack. And Longhorn Financial, tell us about Longhorn Financial.
Yeah, Longhorn Financial is my practice, and the particular area of specialty that I help families with is lowering the cost of college, figuring out how to pay for it, maximizing financial aid while still being able to retire. And so it's not just college, it's actually also retirement because the two go hand in hand. Because after all, every dollar you pay for college is one less dollar you have for retirement, essentially, is what it is. So oftentimes people really view them separately, but they really are related, and one will provide context for the other in terms of how much you can afford and things like that.
Right. So you kind of figure out for your families, number one, is it time for college? When it's time for college, what's the process? What do you do? And how do I
Right.
also save for retirement at the same time? Because college educations are pretty expensive.
Right, right. And absolutely. So I look at it from a financial standpoint, even though college, finding the right college is much more than just dollars and cents, right? So, but you're absolutely right in that uh, they, college is really expensive. And so we hear a lot in the news about the student debt problem, right? Kids,
Yeah.
young Americans walking around with, hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt. One of the things that doesn't get as much airplay, if you will. You can find these articles if you look, but it's really the next debt bubble is parents taking on debt for their kids for college, and so there's starting to be more and more articles on that in the news. It doesn't get the same notoriety, if you will, as sort of the main debt problem, but because parents want their kids and kids want to go to brand name schools and whatever, and it's very difficult to navigate the process, the financial aid process, and really understand what schools are looking for. Parents end up having to take on this debt, and so now that obviously has an impact on retirement because if you're now, you got through the college thing, but now if you're carrying on, $100,000 of debt into retirement, you know that's a problem, right? I mean, either might not be able to retire when you want, or in the most extreme cases, if you don't pay back federal loans, the federal government can actually garnish your Social Security check, a
Oh,
portion.
wow.
So I mean that's an extreme
That's an
case, right?
extreme
Like you
case.
really
I
have to
didn't know
not
that.
pay,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it is, yeah, allowed.
It's a
So
fact. Yeah.
yeah, it is a fact. So parents really want to get this correct. Um, and again, oftentimes parents think about, let me get through the college thing, then I'll worry about the retirement thing. And I understand that, right? Like we can only process so much at a time, but without really looking at both together, how much can you really afford for college? So for example, if you're getting close to retirement, you have zero in your retirement fund, can you really afford $50,000 a year for your kid's college, no matter how much you and your kid want it, right? So, so I'm not saying that you can't do it, but you may want to just kind of rethink. So, okay, how important is it? And we maybe find a cheaper option if we do something else or whatever. So, you have to balance the two.
Right. Right. So you're helping these families navigate the whole confusing process of, when do you start for saving for college, retirement, that kind of thing. What is the best, if there is a best time of life? When's the best time for someone to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so in an ideal perfect world, obviously is when the kids are really young, right? When your son or daughter is born, that's when you want to have a chat. But in reality, of course, that never happens,
Right.
right? Because we're busy thinking about, at that stage, diapers and formula, whatever, getting enough sleep. Um, the reality is most families contact me sophomore to junior year of high school, some as late as senior year. And so what I tell people is that really by end of middle school, like eighth grade and into high school, ninth grade is when you really want to really start doing the specific planning, right? Like maybe you should have been saving all along, but now is like when the nuts and bolts actually matter. Um, or if you haven't been saving all along, the nuts and bolts really matter, right? Um, Families who contact me on, at the start of their senior year, it's not they can't do anything, but it's just that the options are much more limited. And then I have families who contact me, in the spring of senior year. This is after they get their financial aid award letters, and now they're, yeah, as I say, staring down the barrel of an $80,000 tuition bill. They call me saying, "Well, what do I do now? Because I really, my kid really wants to go to school, but it's $80,000 a year." If you're calling me essentially the month before the bill is due, uh, I can still try and help you, but you have very few options, right?
Right.
So, probably like in your business, John, hey, I need to find something tomorrow for my elderly parent. It's gonna be a lot tougher than if, I need to find something in the next year,
Right.
right? Or something
Right.
like that.
Right. That's
So
great. You have
ideally, yeah, and end of junior high, beginning of high school is really when the planning really should be starting.
should be going on by then. Yeah. Great service you offer, Jack, and I appreciate you sharing a few minutes today. What is the best way to get a hold of you if someone wants to have a conversation?
Yeah, best way, you can email me, Jack, at longhornfin, so short for Longhorn Financial, longhornfin.com, or they can visit my website at www.longhornfin.com.
Awesome, Jack. Great to see you. Thank you for your time this morning. Learned a lot as always.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Take care.
You as well.